We are investigating what we call chameleon carriers and shady carriers within the trucking industry. And how they operate is that they often use different locations, maybe a residential area with fake addresses. They might use an office building with mailboxes and things of that nature, even though regulations show that they're supposed to have a business where they're conducting operations. So it's actually illegal for them to operate out of mailboxes. We're here in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, outside of this office building. What was the address again, Justin?
501 Cambria.
501 Cambria, here in Bensalem. And we went inside and we asked the person at the front desk, hey, where are these addresses for these particular suites? For all the suite numbers, they go up to about 150. All the suite numbers that are listed for all these different businesses that claim to be trucking businesses go upwards in the 200s to 300s in suites. There's no physical location for them to actually operate. But how many businesses that we're showing as active trucking companies are supposedly operating off of this one small office building?
It's about 47 carriers in this building. A little more than over 30 are actually active. Most of the other ones have been inactive for a couple years now.
And the ones that we're investigating, most of those are basically just mailboxes that we saw.
Correct. There was one office suite that still has a couple of trucking companies operating out of it. The name of the company I was looking for, when I knocked on the door, two gentlemen opened the door for us, and I gave the name of the company that we were looking for. They had no idea what I was talking about. They gave us two different names for the carriers that they represented. I presented myself as a truck driver looking for a job, and they told me to get lost.
These chameleon carriers hire illegal immigrants as drivers, putting them behind the wheel of big rigs, killing innocent Americans on our roads, and spreading risk across all shipping. Their fake addresses and P.O. boxes block FMCSA inspections of employment records and hiding this illegal labor. It gets worse, as these illegal immigrants are also hauling U.S. mail for the Postal Service and even military items, endangering critical supply chains too.
USPS NDC, Network Distribution Center in Northeast Pennsylvania. This particular hub, they dispatch all mail outside of the network here in Philadelphia. Most of the mail that comes in goes into the PNDC, the Processing Distribution Center in Southwest Philadelphia. This mail is mail that's collected all around the area, brought here, and then dispatched along the nationwide network. They rely upon a lot of outside contractors to come in because the post office doesn't have long-haul routes. Every driver who drives for the post office themselves, they're mostly local. My last route I drove for them was only 30 miles. These are contracts that are going out for hundreds or even thousands of miles. This is like a glaring red sign. When you have a semi-truck with no permanent marking and they have a magnetic sign, that's not a guarantee, but it's a sign of a red flag. What's really funny is this is a magnetic sign on top of another magnetic sign. And when you search the DOT numbers for this particular truck, they have an out-of-service rating of 33.3%. So that means every single time one of these trucks gets pulled over randomly by DOT, they have a 1 in 3 shot of being shut down, placed out of service. Falsifying their driving logs. That's the other thing that these carriers have to do in order to meet the service for the rates that they're charging. The post office requires teams for any trucks going on routes over 500 miles. And what we started to notice is that a lot of carriers, they'll have one guy in the truck, or maybe they have two guys in the truck, but the other guy in the truck isn't really going on that trip. They'll go to nearby truck stops, place another guy in the truck, get to the terminal, verify with the expediter on the dock that, yes, we do have a team, so please put that load on our truck. And then as soon as they're out of the facility, they go to the nearby truck stop, drop the one guy off, and that solo driver continues on that journey. That is a major problem happening at the Indianapolis mail facility right now.
So we're here in Philadelphia, outside of a building for a company called Old Philly Trucking, which is not very old. It's only been around for a few years, a handful of years. But what's interesting about this place is that not only is it a residential building, which this has some red flags, but this particular company has over 400 trucks that are assigned to it. Now, driving around here, I don't see where you can park many trucks at all, nevertheless 400 trucks. So how exactly does this work?
most of these operations that we see are clusters of companies inside one building. This one stood out to me because it's one company in this entire area. They have 470 trucks and 470 drivers, but as you can see, it's nothing but houses. There are no office buildings. There's no ops center. If anything, we'll find a mailbox, and that's probably where all their mail is going. But if I'm DOT or FMCSA and I'm getting red flags about this company, I need to be able to show up and audit their office paperwork, their driver logs. I have to be able to see their trucks and ensure that all the trucks have the proper paperwork. There is not a truck anywhere near out here. Now, it is not illegal for a trucking company to have a physical address and a mailing address registered, but one of those addresses has to be what's called your principal place of business. It's somewhere where the FMCSA can send somebody to take a look at your operations and give you guys a safety audit. Both the mailing address and the physical address are registered right to that building right there.
The FMCSA says that they're supposed to inspect each new carrier within a year, but as I was talking to Justin about 5% of new carriers are actually inspected. So these shady carriers, what they are betting on is that nothing will happen. No one will ever check, no one will ever come here. We're probably the only people that have ever showed up asking any sort of questions about the trucking business. Under the Trump administration's stricter English language proficiency enforcement for CDL drivers, Old Philly Trucking saw several drivers fail, clear evidence of their illegal labor practices. Every violation links back to Amazon shipments, making Amazon the trucking industry's top offender for using illegal labor. And in just one Philadelphia residential neighborhood, over 400 active trucking companies are registered, fueling this hidden network. We're here at another apartment building, just a few blocks away from the last one we were just visiting, where I had the one trucking company with over 400 trucks allegedly assigned to that company. This apartment building is a little bit different, where there are multiple trucking companies here, 34 to be exact, that are showing as active, and they're all showing for different apartment building numbers. So why don't you explain like how this works and why it might be that way?
Yeah, if I'm an American trucking company and I'm hiring drivers as employees, I have to pay fuel expenses, insurance costs, payroll taxes, retirement benefits, if I'm even offering that. And the driver is driving my truck, which I own, that I'm making payments for. A lot of these carriers, what they'll do is they won't hire a driver directly. They bring them here into the U.S. and they immediately make them form an LLC, and then they contract out to that LLC. They'll lease a truck to that LLC. Maybe they own the truck, maybe they don't. They're going to charge the LLC for any kind of fuel expenses, insurance, maintenance costs on the truck. So it's a completely different transactional experience versus a employee driver versus an LLC contractor. So instead of going from an expense that I'm trying to make a profit off of, I have this entity on paper that I'm just extracting as much money out of it as I can.
Yeah, and if we just apply some common sense, what are the chances that there are 34 people driving trucks out of this one building? Obviously, there's shady behavior going on, and I'm willing to bet if we were to look further into it, many of these guys just started their companies within the past year or so. None of them have likely been inspected by the FMCSA. So everyone is just skating underneath the radar. Some of them are taking loads, some of them aren't taking loads yet. Some have insurance, some don't have insurance yet. So just a bunch of sketchy behavior. And this is just happening within just a couple of miles of all the different locations that we're visiting. So imagine what it's like in your particular neighborhood. So we're still here in Philadelphia. This place has 34 companies as well, but only 20 of them are active. Just driving around here, just regular residential neighborhood. Matter of fact, at the entrance to this location, there's a sign that says no commercial vehicles, no trucks allowed to park in here. So I don't know how you have a trucking company located here when even the apartment complex does not allow trucks to even park here. What's interesting is on our way here, we could see random trucks that are parked in shopping plazas all across the way. So there's a lot of sketchy business going on, but you can further explain.
It makes sense why they set up shop in these areas. They form their LLCs in communities like this, but where they're actually doing their business is all over the country, or some of the carriers that might be local or regional. There's plenty of warehousing down the street that they can operate through.
Yeah, and some of these carriers, so people understand, likely in many of these situations, they're not here whatsoever. They're not operating here, they're just using these places as addresses. And that's what they're betting on, is the FMCSA not catching them. And even if they do, they just start another DOT number, and we just end up in a circle once again.
Yes, these drivers might have their addresses based here, but the person behind the wheel in the truck that you see on the road, that is just the publicly visible part of a small piece of the entire operation. When you see a truck going down the road and the driver behind the wheel, there is an entire invisible army of back-end office support people keeping that truck moving. You have the freight broker who found the load. You have the dispatcher who's telling them where to go and where to pick up. You have, if they even have a safety support system, if the truck breaks down, there has to be some kind of support network that he can dial into for them to find roadside assistance. None of those operations are going to be here in the U.S. That's how many of these carriers are able to outcompete American carriers. Is if I'm a U.S. company, I have to have all of my support staff here in the U.S. Available for a driver to call at any time if there's an emergency. These trucks that are on the road driving for these particular carriers, they don't have that.
If these locations aren't valid, there's no way to check employment verification, mileage, and no way to inspect the trucks themselves to get some sort of legal authority. And they know this. So what they're doing is overwhelming the system by having one pop up here, another one pop up here, and even if they shut them down, it's like whack-a-mole. They just pop up in a different location, which is why for some of these particular businesses, they may have apartment A, apartment B, apartment C. Clearly, no one's living there, and mail's going all over the place, and they don't care. So I think what we're trying to show here is that this problem, in a 5-minute radius of just driving around and picking these locations, and his hard work to help discover these, what we're finding is that this problem is all over. This problem is hiding in plain sight. It's all over the country, and Pennsylvania is not even the biggest of the problems. At this apartment complex, there is a textbook example of a chameleon carrier, Ortep Express Inc. FMCSA forced this carrier out of service in 2024 for blocking an audit inspection. Yet at the same apartment address, they spun up 2 new companies, Blackjack Transport LLC and MA Trans Inc., and kept hauling freight under these fresh names. These carriers thrive because negligent shippers like Amazon and greedy brokers look the other way for profit. Since early 2025, over 1,000 English language proficiency violations have tied directly to Amazon shipments, far more than anyone else. To stop this, we need to pressure lawmakers and wake up the public. Our supply chains are infected with slave labor-like illegal labor, costing American lives in crashes and injuries. I'm currently crowdfunding my documentary, The Illegal Highways, to expose it all. You can support this fight at my GiveSendGo by going to givesendgo.com/theillegalhighways. Any amount helps. Thank you.